Happy Wednesday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. I'm Jay Zawoski with Greg Boyson and the burpy one, Mario Tirabassi. Sarah is running the show today. Katie is standing by, learning how to run the show. That'll happen soon. Got a lot of good stuff going on here. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Well, the vast majority of you we appreciate.
No, everybody. All views are the same.
We can appreciate and not have to like necessarily.
Oh.
Those are two different things.
I like
Appreciation and liking are
tolerate.
Those are two things. They're exclusive to each other.
Well, everybody up there now, I know we like Michael Evans, Nice 14. Don't know Nice very well, but seems nice.
I mean, Nice is right in the name. It's got to be a good person.
Windy City Hockey, our gummy bear mule. Everybody's here. Do us a favor. Smash that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. If you are a podcast listener, we love you. You're old school like me. Follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And what's great about the 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify is you can be as big of a jerk as you want in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us we suck. Rip us apart.
Just give us 5 stars.
Yeah, if you want to be constructive, cool. But 5 stars, please. That's what really matters. And, roast us at your own will.
Sure.
We're happy to allow that.
Right.
So go for it. We're here for it. By the way, we wanted to get PD on today's show, but PD is a very busy man as he is the senior video analyst of the ALLCITY network. He's being stretched and pulled in many different directions. But he said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you a video breakdown of Connor Bedard's goal in Edmonton anyway, even though he can't come in. So we're going to start there. Later on in the show, we are going to go around the league for the first time this year and look at some of the teams that are surprisingly good, some of the teams that are surprisingly bad, and kind of sort through and say, all right, what here is real, what here is fake,
and
let's make some
declaration
grand
show.
declarations.
Overreaction Wednesday.
Even though there's
Cannot
teams in the
wait.
league that have played 2 games.
Cannot wait. Grand
Yeah.
declarations, 1 weekend.
All right, so before we get to this video from PD, I just want to give everybody a warning. You might want to grab a towel, turn the fan on, open the windows. It's going to get hot in here. All right.
This is a good show. Good. We don't have a Blue Chew read this show.
Yeah, we're not going to need it today. Yeah, so I'll say too, I love that we get the opinions on Connor Bedard from PD, who is out of town. Right? So it's not our at home, it's not the Chicago bias, it's not people that have an investment in Connor Bedard like we do. PD's in Phoenix. I said, hey, can you send us a breakdown of this goal? And he did. And what he had to say about it was, well, we'll let you hear it for yourself.
So many things go into a goal. Let's look at all of the little details that make Connor Bedard so special. Here he is in the defensive zone, and he starts with his vision and anticipation. His vision is absolutely elite. His head is always up, and you can see he's anticipating the play on where the puck is going to do next. So he gets his body there. That's where the puck is going. So that's where he gets to next. And you can see as the puck gets up the wall, now it's his quick hands. He's able to get his stick underneath the Oiler player's stick, and the puck continues up the ice. An amazing play. It's a little detail, but it's what makes this goal happen. And as the puck comes up the ice, Bedard has speed. He gets up with the play, not only creating the turnover, but he gets up the ice with the play. And we talked about his vision, always has his head up as he moves with or without the puck. And his stick is on the ice. He's ready to receive the pass from the middle of the ice. He's looking for Teravainen, and he knows Teravainen now knows that Bedard is ready for the pass. And as he get up the ice, now he receives the pass, but we talked about his vision all over the ice. Now he looks, his head is still up. He sees the positioning of the Edmonton Oilers defense, and now he makes a decision quickly on what to do at the blue line. And as soon as he gets to the blue line, he cuts to the middle of the ice, and he allows Teravainen to drive through the middle. When Teravainen drives through the middle, it pulls the Edmonton Oilers defenseman back. What does that do? Well, that creates space for Connor Bedard in behind. You can see what Teravainen has done pulling the Oiler defenseman back. Well, now Connor Bedard has all of this space at the top of the ice, but his magic is not done yet. It's not just about shooting the puck. It's his vision again. This time he takes and looks at the goalie, and he uses the Edmonton Oilers defender as a screen. And he waits, and he's patient, and he waits for the exact right moment when he noticed the Edmonton Oilers goalie cannot see, his vision is blocked, and he gets the puck just by the Edmonton Oilers defender, and the goaltender can't see, and the puck is on the way before the goalie even moves, and it ends up behind him. And those are the details that make Connor Bedard such a special player.
I love that. And we're really seeing the evidence of the vision this year now that he's playing with better players that command a little bit of attention. You saw, as PD broke down, the Edmonton Oilers can't ignore Teuvo Teravainen on that play. They have to be aware of him.
Right.
So they're backing off. They're also terrified of Bedard. And if we can go back and look at the screen here, we'll do it in a second. You could see how wide open Nick Foligno is. Nick Foligno is all alone approaching the net. It's the one with the from like behind the goalie, Sarah. It's a few seconds ahead of that. Yeah. Sorry, we're live producing. This is what happens when I request stuff as the show's going on. That's it right there.
That's the one.
That's perfect. You can just see how wide open Nick Foligno is
and
too.
Looks at the goalie and he uses the Edmonton Oilers defender as a.
Yeah. I mean, all the attention that Bedard and Teravainen have drawn, Foligno does the right thing and heads directly to the net. In case there's a rebound, there's not, because the goalie never saw the shot until it was behind him.
Yeah, I think that was a big thing last year with Bedard is, the vision, the playmaking ability that he has. Like, it just wasn't able to kind of be fully realized in his rookie year because he wasn't really playing with guys that could think the same way or play at the same pace. Now he's with guys who are, professionals who have played with high-end players for large portions of their career. Teuvo Teravainen's played pretty much almost his entire career with a guy like Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov in Carolina. You have, Nick Foligno's been around the league for a long time. He's played with some high-end players. Taylor Hall's been an MVP. Like even though he was on the team last year for 10 games, it's almost like he's a new guy this year. You're seeing Bedard's abilities be able to kind of be reciprocated because now he's been surrounded by guys that can actually keep up with the pace of play that he's able to go with.
But as you mentioned, Jay, it's Teuvo Teravainen that goes through the middle of those two defensemen that cause them back up. That's last year, and it's Ryan Donato or
Rem Pitlick,
Mackenzie Entwistle, or Colin Blackwell. They're not going to get the same respect. They're going to say, "Yeah, I'll let Ryan Donato beat me. I'm not letting Connor Bedard beat me." But now they're like, "Well, if we let Teuvo go unchecked, that's a goal, no matter what." Right. So that helps with Bedard. And then you saw later with the power play, they're drawn to Bedard, and Teuvo's left wide open, and he scores 2 power play goals. Like, the second you leave one unchecked, they're going to kill you. That's what makes, a line dynamic. And having Teuvo and Bedard together is as I know there were so many people that didn't want to break up Kurashev and Bedard, but this is better. As good as Kurashev and Bedard was last season, this is better.
Yeah, and what we're seeing from Kurashev is that he's beginning to hold his own without being on Kurashev and Hall have been good. They're getting some chemistry building, but they haven't produced the goals yet, but I think they're coming. But that's just having more talent around Connor Bedard is only going to make this kid better.
I think also, let's not undersell, now that we are sort of learning this season that Philip Kurashev's season last year, his 54-point season, was not really a fluke. He might have the same output offensively, but like Teuvo Teravainen could be a decent comp for him in terms of the kind of player he could grow to be.
Kurashev?
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's someone that he can kind of look to and say, if there's a player I can emulate, not a top end scorer. Teuvo's career high was 76 points, but it's 21 goals and 55 assists, right? He's setting up Aho, he's setting up big time scorers, and that's where all those points are coming from. But most of Teuvo's seasons, 42, 64, 63, 65, 53, these are all numbers that as Philip Kurashev becomes fully realized and this Blackhawks roster around him improves, like if suddenly Philip Kurashev is Frank Nazar's winger or vice versa, then or Oliver Moore, whoever you want to put in that role, or free agent X, right? Then you could see Teravainen-esque numbers as a possibility for Kurashev, and he has shown the willingness to play both ends of the ice. And I think what has grown the most from Teuvo 1.0 to Teuvo 2.0 in Chicago is he is such a smart hockey player now. Like, not that he was dumb before, but the experience he's had with a really good coach in Ron Verdemore and a really good system with great players around him. Like, he has become a really heady, smart hockey player and knows where to be all the time, knows how to, like Bedard, manipulate defenses with where he skates, where he positions himself. I think he is a brilliant hockey player, and him and Bedard are a great combo, and I hope that he can take somebody like Kurashev under his wing a little bit.
Yeah, I would think that Kurashev is a guy that can learn from that, and even being 25, like, you can still learn new things in the NHL, and he's really only had one season where he's kind of like really shown the flash of that potential, and that was last year. So yeah, I would like to think that bringing in those veteran guys that they did this offseason, especially a guy like Teuvo, can be a little bit of a an example for those guys and those younger guys on the team to show, like, hey, like, use them as a resource of like how the game evolves as you grow into your game, and how thinking the game, seeing it changes. Because Teuvo, as a rookie and second year guy, when he was here in Chicago, it was like, yeah, he's got a lot of skill, but he's also got a lot of learning to do. And then all of that happened in Carolina, and comes back, and yeah, like you said, like he's a fully realized version of himself. It would have been great if he would have been able to do that all in Chicago. But having him now here is a really good resource for a guy like Kurashev. Hopefully can be a good resource for a guy like Lucas Reichel, and is obviously already having a big impact on Connor Bedard.
Well, if I know anything about Teuvo Teravainen, it's that he wants to talk to everybody all the time, and he will never shut up.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you gotta
come with me, young Blackhawks. Let me show you.
Peel him away from the media scrums. Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Oh God, shut up! Every time we're in the locker room, it's like, can this guy pipe down over here?
15-minute-long conversations.
Trying to transcribe somebody else, and all I could hear is Teuvo in the background shouting.
Before we hit the break zone, Thomas had a question, and our buddies at the Hockey Barn asked the same thing last night. Speaking of Foligno, will he be part of the show again this season? We are not going to have Nick Foligno on the show this season. Obviously, with Captain Lee duties, he's a lot busier. He's got to do a lot more in the community, those sort of things. And I think he's a little
big-timed us.
Yeah, well, that's
now that I'm captain, I don't need you.
Yes. But I think he also
verbatim what he told us.
He got the CHGO bump. He used us for what he needed, what he wanted, and now he's moving on.
Well, I mean, that's how we really feel, but to toe the company line,
Yes, he's far more busier this year.
But we are in negotiations with another Blackhawk that I think everyone will be very pleased will be hopefully part of the show. So
yes.
Yeah.
If Nick,
we're all gonna have to get Darren Pang's booster, so we're all at the same level.
Yeah,
you could say that Nick declining our offer put us in a pickle. Maybe
a bit of a pickle.
A little bit, yeah. Nick will have to return all the merch though, because we got to give that to the next guy.
Right.
That's right. All right, we are going to actually I want to address something that Change the Logo asked. We'll get to that on the other side of the break zone, but first we want to tell you about our friends at Constant Contact. Let's talk about goals for a minute. Not the kind the Blackhawks have been struggling to score, but how are you tracking the goals you set for your business earlier this year? Are you close? If not, do you know why you haven't hit them yet? Can you believe we're almost in Q4? That means it's crunch time for those business goals you set back in January. If you think you can, then you can. I love that quote. It's why goals are so powerful. Putting your business goals out into the world makes you more likely to achieve them. I set a goal for my other podcast, the I'm Fat podcast, and due to my laziness, I have not met them. So I think I'm going to hit up our friends at Constant Contact and make them happen by the end of the year, because more eyes, more ears, that's good for a business like this and like the I'm Fat podcast. So it's time to put the go in your 2024 business goals with email, social, SMS, and customized marketing campaigns built for you in just a few clicks. Ready, set, go to constantcontact.com/ALLCITY and start your free trial today. Go to constantcontact.com/allcity to start a free trial today.
And as we try and reach legendary status here in Chicago, we are proud to be partnering up with legends of the Chicago era, Empire Today. We all know the jingle. And with Empire Today, you get to shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the absolute best place to get new flooring. So, of course, there are a lot of people out there trying to copy them. We know what that's like. But Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, speed. So the competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need, not to overwhelm you with a bunch of inferior products. So they just put the best flooring available to you. And they also have this awesome virtual floor designer. That's the best way for you to see how those new floors are going to look in your space. It's easy. Just snap a picture of the room you want to put those floors in, and you'll instantly see what those floors will look like. So you don't even have to put on pants and leave the house.
All right.
Doesn't get any better than that. Plus, they pride themselves on their convenient shop-at-home service, and they will service all their own warranties, so you don't have to try and find the little booklet that comes with it and hope that that company is still in business to get service. Empire does it all themselves. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners, that's you beautiful people out there, you're going to receive a $350 discount when you use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/CHGO for all the details.
All right. Before we went to the break, a little comment from Change the Logo says, so far I'm liking Tavo, but the rest of the signings have all been a big meh. Maroon, Smith, Martinez, Brody, Mikheyev, Bertuzzi all feel like replacement level guys. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. I think that especially Alec Martinez has been really, really good. They need more from Bertuzzi. Absolutely, 100%. I've liked Mikheyev's defensive play, but they brought him in to be another scoring option. I'm actually writing that for my Blackhawks beat, which will be out tomorrow morning, about the lack of offense and where it might come from. And those are some of the names mentioned. But we talked about it in the postgame yesterday. Like, it can't all be on Bedard and Foligno and Teravainen and Jones every night. Yeah. It's just not. The only other guys who have scored are Kurashev and Donato.
Right.
That's it.
And Donato was scratched last night.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would also like all of those guys to be contributing a little bit more. Still early in the season, as we found out last night. It's the 5th game of the year where Tyler Bertuzzi decides to usually show up. So tomorrow night he should have a big game, hopefully.
7-point game.
Can't wait for it. But yeah, Bertuzzi would like to see a little bit more impact consistently in the game. TJ Brody has been rough at times, but also, like, he had a few plays last night where you're like, hey, there it is. Do more of that. Like, defensively. Pat Maroon, I feel like has so far been what he was supposed to be. Is kind of, a guy that's going to be physical, a guy that's going to play around the net. If you expect more than that from Pat Maroon, you probably are going to be disappointed. But any contributions he can make on the score sheet is really gravy at this point in his career. But being a physical presence, being a guy who has deceptively good hands for how big he is. Yes, he is slow, but I think that's the role he's going to play. Craig Smith got to kind of figure out exactly what he's going to be doing for this team, because in the 2 games he's played in, not really a big impact positively for the Blackhawks so far. We know he's a hardworking guy, veteran guy. He's got a good shot, got a good motor, but I would like to see a little bit more impact from him if he's going to be in the lineup consistently. So I would say through 4 games, it hasn't been, all the new additions haven't been pushing the team as a whole. So I would like to see a little bit more, but let's give it a few more games before we are benching guys or trading these guys who are on 1-year deals earlier than potentially February.
Yeah, I mean, the only guys that were really brought in that were counted on for any consistent offense were Tavo, who leads the team in scoring right now,
right,
and Bertuzzi. And Mikheyev was more of a gamble of like, he's done it before. maybe we can unlock something in him. And he also brings some other stuff to the table that even if he doesn't score, it can help.
Yeah, if he can be a point producer in a third line role, that's great.
If he can be basically a Jason Dickinson that plays the wing, plays good defense, has good speed and size, and throw in 15 to 18 goals, that's a good.
That would be amazing.
That's kind of, I think, what they were eyeballing for him.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, Mario Maroon is doing exactly what he was brought in here to do.
Yeah.
If you were expecting him to be a 20-goal scorer, that's kind of on you, because that's not anymore.
Has he ever scored 20?
I don't think so. Maybe early in his career with Anaheim, or maybe I think that year in Edmonton he had over 20. But everybody had 20 goals when you play with Connor McDavid. So except Connor McDavid.
He scored
27.
27 in 16-17.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's going to take a little time to get all these guys going. I know they're veterans and all that stuff, but you're still playing with new teammates. You're still figuring each other out tendencies. And the only way you figure that stuff out, you could practice all you want, but passing to each other in practice is not passing to each other in a game.
Yeah.
With a giant defenseman bearing down on you and structure and all that stuff. So it should start this homestand. They're going to get home. They're going to next 4 games are at home, which means they're going to have a lot of practice in between games. No travel. I think you're really going to start seeing things gel over these next 4 games. I think Luke will start figuring out his combinations a little better. And then, you'll after this 4-game homestand, let's revisit and see what we think of these new guys. But as you mentioned, and as I wrote in Morning Chirps this morning, I'm not hitting the panic button on Tyler Bertuzzi, but at some point we got to see something more than just, he's not even hitting people. Yeah. He's got 4 hits in 4 games. I mean, he's supposed to be this physical agitator type player that can score 20, 24 goals, whatever. And it's just like if you look at his advanced stats, they're fine, but it's the eye test that he's not passing right now. It just seems it's just a lot of skating without a purpose right now. Maybe that has to do with playing with new line mates and trying to figure out, maybe there's a little pressure living up to a 4-year contract, $22 million contract.
Yeah, that's probably the part. We definitely saw that from Seth Jones when he came here, was trying to justify the money and not really playing his game. And I think you're also looking at Bertuzzi, who's on his 4th team in 4 years.
He's going to hit all the original
Detroit,
6.
Boston, Toronto, Chicago. Was that all
1 year stints?
That's 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went from Detroit to Boston, then signed for Toronto.
Yeah.
And now, so he's on his 4th team in 2 years.
Yeah. So I think what we're seeing when I'm watching him play, I'm seeing a guy who is
thinking
a little bit uncertain, a little bit. Yeah. I don't think it's a lack of commitment or wanting to be good or wanting to compete hard. I just think it's okay, let's figure each other out here. You also have Taylor Hall, who's only played 10 games as a Hawk, up until this year. So everyone's starting to learn each other. And I think that is certainly more difficult to do on the road. We also should not undersell the fact that it's Utah's franchise opener, Winnipeg's home opener, the Oilers they beat, and then Calgary, who's undefeated. Like it was a tougher start to the season than expected. Now, if this continues through San Jose, through Buffalo, etc., and they're not looking good or gelling at home either, then I think you worry. But again, Bertuzzi started slow in Toronto last year, and every month that went by, his production got better and better and better and better as he found his way.
He went from having popular podcasters screaming for him to get off the Maple Leafs.
That guy always screams, but
yes, but it was a mad scream, not a normal scream. To in the summertime, a lot of Maple Leaf fans wanted to keep Bertuzzi and not re-sign Domi. They were upset they chose Domi over Bertuzzi. Yeah. So, okay, thank you for
cool. Thanks. Appreciate it.
That was weird. If you didn't hear that, my Apple assistant lady went off in my pocket.
Jay's phone lady has a kink for Max Domi, apparently.
I mean, really, who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Tyler Bertuzzi's career splits by month. Found this interesting. 14 46 career games played in October, 33 points. 68 career games played in November, 36 points. Thanks. 48 career games played in December, 25 points. January, here we go. 75 career games, 50 career points. February, 65 career games played, 35 points. March, 73 career games played, 53 points. And then April, it's actually, as far as points percentage goes, April's his best month. 34 games played in his career, 29 points.
There you go.
All right.
So I cannot wait for January, March, and April for Tyler Bertuzzi.
Too bad the Winter Classic's in December.
Well, I mean, and not to spoil it, but for the Blackhawks beat, like one of the things I'm writing is like, yeah, he's a guy who was a historically slow starter, but those teams had the luxury of being able to wait for Tyler Bertuzzi because they had Austin Matthews or they had Brad Marchand and Pasta and like all these guys that could do it. Right now, the Hawks need him to start producing. And frankly, that line in general. I think as we look at the three of them, Hall, Kurashev, Bertuzzi, the other two, we've been pretty pleased. Okay, they're playing fine.
Yeah.
But they're not, the results haven't come.
Mm-hmm.
We need to see the results. And I think I was looking at the numbers. And I think that Hall has 9 shots on goal. Bertuzzi has 7. And I think that's good for, second and third on the team. They're tied with a bunch of guys.
Sure.
But so the shots are there. I feel like that line just doesn't possess the puck very much. It's a lot of either one and dones or zone time without a result.
Yeah.
Hopefully with some of these lesser opponents, with some home field, home ice line matchup dictating, they'll be able to just get better matchups and spend some time. I think once they have a night where maybe 2 of the 3 of them get a goal, it might open the floodgates a little bit, because I think every game that goes by and the points don't come, they're going to feel that stress about it too. Like, God, Taylor Hall's feeling that.
Yeah.
Because until that puck goes in that net, Taylor Hall's going to feel like, am I ever going to be Taylor Hall again?
Yeah, that's going to be a monkey off the back type of feeling for him, I would imagine. Yeah, and maybe tomorrow's game is kind of that jolt for some of these guys. They you start the season on a road trip and you're trying to gel and get the new guy vibes off of you and kind of feel like intertwined into the locker room, and then you come back to Chicago. It's a familiar place where you started working out this summer, and you get some practice, time, some ice time back at the Fifth Third and the UC. You get the home crowd cheering you. You're gonna have the home opener tomorrow. It's gonna be the red carpet event. Like, you get that juice going, and then that can maybe be a little bit of an injection of like, all right, now you get some of that going. You get these guys into a different gear now that we get to the home portion of the schedule.
I would imagine being on the ice for the anthem wearing the home jersey is a different feel than when you're the visitor.
Yeah.
And that anthem's going to be nice and loud.
Yeah.
I know they played some preseason games, but they only had a half full arena. So
I would think this is going to be a sold out game.
I would
close
imagine
to it. Home opener.
The energy will be high. Yeah. I think there still is a lot of positivity around this team, especially with the way they played on the road. I think if they came back with 3 points, but they lost 6-0 in those 3 losses. But as we've seen from our comments in the post-game shows and today, the majority of the fan base is happy with the effort. And a team that is going to go out there and work and try hard is usually a favorite with the fans. So the energy will be up tomorrow. So hopefully that translates into some, gripping the stick a little looser and just going out there and playing with your instincts.
You know what this team needs?
They need to chill.
Line brawl.
Line brawl.
Sure.
Yeah.
Line brawl would be good.
All right, we're going to go around the league after we hit the break zone here. So we're going to talk about who's actually good, who's actually bad, and who's actually meh. Coming up next on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
And I haven't looked at it, but I wonder if there are prop bets for line brawl probability on Circa Sportsbook. If there are,
bet my whole paycheck on
bet the over. But hey, whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football is our friends at Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it is sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. I've heard the best around. You can bet all of your favorite teams in every game this season, including the Blackhawks. Like, they look like a team that, some nights might as well put a little cash on them if you want to. Whether it's spreads, props, futures, or in-game betting, Circa Sports has it all. You can fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. What you got to do is download your new bookie today at circasports.com. You do have to be 21 or older, and if you have a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And we are sponsored by CHGO Sports Network, CHSN, the new home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox games. CHSN will broadcast more than 300 live games per year across the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and will feature a full lineup of original Chicago-focused sports content. They're also Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core.
Chicago packaged.
That's right. And they're bringing it to every corner of Chicago across their 77 neighborhoods and beyond at CHSN. Chicago comes first. Visit CHSN.com for more info on how to watch the Bulls, Hawks, and Sox games all season long. As we continue the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
Available right here on YouTube.
Okay.
Yes, we are. Available, not the same.
And Roku.
That's right.
And your favorite podcast apps.
Correct. And for free. And worldwide.
Worldwide.
No
All right.
No blackouts here.
Do we want to do the teams that suck or the teams that are good first?
Let's get the good stuff out of the way. That's the boring.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear about people doing good.
All right. Dallas Stars, undefeated, 4-0. We are pretty convinced that they're good. Yes.
They're for real.
They're pretty good. They're a good team. We give up 5 goals in 4 games.
Yes.
They're a good team.
They're going to be all right. They needed a shootout to beat those mighty Sharks last night, but maybe they played down to their competition a little bit and still won.
How about the Winnipeg Jets, who are 3-0? They've allowed 2 goals in 3 games.
That's also pretty good.
That's good. I mean, veteran team. We saw them. Veteran team.
Great goalie.
Yeah, having
Arguably one of the top 3 goalies in the league.
Having Connor Hellebuck definitely makes you a good team.
And yet they play a sound, structured game. They don't break from their game plan. We saw that a week ago when the Hawks were there. They just kept coming and coming. They stuck to their structure, and before you knew it, it was over. And Mark Scheifele is red hot, 3 goals in 3 games. He scored 3 goals in a row for the Jets, the 2 against the Hawks, and then their next game against the Wild, which he scored in as the first period was expiring.
Oh, nice.
They had a power play called with 2.2 seconds to go, so Winnipeg pulled the goalie, and it was a face-off play, and he scored a pretty awesome goal. So Mark Scheifele, man, he's 32, I believe now. He'll be 33 by the end of the year, and maybe we joke about how underrated Barkov is claimed to be.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's up there.
If you're gonna put a list of the 10 most underrated, undervalued players in the league, Mark Scheifele's got to be near the top of that list.
Coming to you next August on CHGO Blackhawks.
Write it down.
Yes, I think that Winnipeg and Dallas are certainly good teams. That's not a surprise. How about last night's opponent? The Calgary Flames, 4-0.
Credit to them.
19 goals for, 10 against. I believe, if I'm not mistaken,
I think that's the most goals
19
for.
goals, I believe, leads the league. The Devils also have 19, but yes.
But Devils have played two more games.
Yes, 19 goals. They got
Impressive.
a +9 differential.
I don't know if that's sustainable, but
Yeah,
for them.
it's a surprising start, I would say, for Calgary to be 4-0. I think if you had to bet before the season how are the first 4 games going to go for the Flames, 4-0 or 0-4, I think most people would have said 0-4 if between those 2 options. But hey, I mean they played sound last night. They still have some pretty high end players with Kadri and Backlund and Huberdeau in there as well. Yeah, I mean they have a team that is, you look up and down the lineup, there's definitely some discrepancies in talent, but I definitely feel like Calgary getting out to a 4-0 start is surprising. It's impressive, but it's also, I don't know. I don't think it's the craziest thing to say like they've won their first 4 games. Like there still is talent there to carry that team to a couple wins.
And they've got some good young talent. Dustin Wolf is a former AHL MVP.
7th round pick.
Connor Zary is a recent high draft pick. Samuel Hanzek, who Connor Murphy knocked into the middle of next week, learned a valuable lesson. But he's another one of these young players. And Huberdeau is starting to be the Jonathan Huberdeau they traded Matthew Tkachuk for. So I'm not saying they're for real, but in that division, getting out to a fast start could go a long way because outside of Edmonton, who we're going to talk about in a minute, Vegas is a good team. Vancouver is a good team, but after that, the Kings are kind of meh, and the Sharks and the Ducks are the Sharks and the Ducks. So Calgary keeps this going through the month or so, they could be hanging around and be one of those teams that is pesky and then has a really tough decision at the trade deadline, because I think there's some guys on that team that they would want to like a guy like Rasmus Anderson. Last year his deal, I believe, that's a guy that I think if they fall out, they're gonna get, you can back up the armor truck to Calgary, because that's going to be the guy that might get the most on the deadline market this year.
Could be. Their wins, by the way, over Vancouver, 6-5 overtime win. Philly, they beat 6-3. They beat the Oilers 4-1. No big deal. They suck. And they beat the Hawks 3-1. So that's the 4-0.
I mean,
no cupcakes on that schedule.
They beat the top 2 teams from the Pacific Division a year ago in the Canucks and the Oilers. So good start for them. Out of those teams that are kind of like, I don't know if they're for real. I think they could definitely be a team that gets that like chip on their shoulder, us against the world. They're playing great, and no better time to have a hot streak than the beginning of the season.
Yep.
All right, that's it for the teams that are 4-0 or 3-0 with no overtime stuff. You got the Minnesota Wild 2-0-2. Utah is 3-1-0. That's in the Central. You've got the 3-1-0 Golden Knights.
Got torched by the Capitals last night.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Rangers are 2-0-1 with a 0.8 goal differential. I mean, the surprises are starting to wane. Let's talk a little bit about Utah. We talked about it in the post-game show the other night. That it's a team that is obviously on the rise with the talent they have been developing in Arizona. But I think that maybe we underestimated the impact of getting out of the hellscape of being a Coyote, of playing in a college arena, of having constant uncertainty about your future and the future of the team. Now they can just relax and play hockey. They probably have better amenities than they've ever had before. They can just chill and do their thing.
As long as they're built.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Utah, there is something to be said to getting into an environment where you're operating like an NHL team should. You're playing in a full building that's amped up to have you there. It's like a car getting a full body detail, a deep car wash, and all, you get vacuumed and you get the leather seats all cleaned, and it's just like it's this thing that's been existing as the Coyotes for a while, but then you give them the Utah treatment, and everything probably feels a little bit better. And then I mean it's a team that had some talent growing and budding in the Coyotes system. You go out this offseason, you make a couple additions, and you make some improvements, and it's not too shocking to see Utah get out to the start that they have. I mean, you got Dylan Guenther and Clayton Keller as young guys coming up, or not Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley as young guys coming up. You have Clayton Keller as a guy who's, again, I would say on our August show next summer on the underrated list. Nick Schmaltz, remember him? Like, he's been a solid contributor since being in Arizona and has been an impact guy for Utah as well. Like, they have some solid pieces there. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say that Utah could be a playoff team this year.
Yeah.
One of us said that.
I don't know. I think definitely off to a great start, had a lot of momentum. Then, they had to face the Devils, and their top line, the Keller, Cooley, Gunther line got shut down, and they lost. I think Utah's going to have a lot of the same problems that the Blackhawks have right now. Like, if you stop that top line, you're going to beat Utah. So they got to figure out a way to get some more goals.
Don't count out Spicy Tuna.
Hey, whoever the hell that is.
They're 3-1-0 with a +2 goal differential.
Yeah. Like
a lot of close games.
Right. So
which is their wins. I'm not taking anything away, but it's not like Dallas or Winnipeg with +8, +7.
They got off to the nice start, great story, and now as the league starts adjusting to Cooley and Gunther, they have to adjust back, and how quickly they do that is going to be, I still don't know, where they're going to get offense long term outside that top line, but if that top line is humming, just ride it until the wheels fall off.
Mm-hmm.
Any belief in the Wild? No. Goalie goal last night. Goalie goal magic.
Yeah, well, it was also against the craptacular St. Louis Blues. So
Philip Gustafson has more goals than Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews combined.
Tyler Bertuzzi.
Sure.
All right, who else is standing out to you in the so far so good realm? Not really any more surprise. Like New Jersey, I think everybody expected to have a solid start, and a lot of people picked them to go far in the Eastern Conference. They are on top of the Metro. Of course, they played 6 games because of the first 2 against Buffalo and Czechia.
Yeah.
But they're 4-2 with a +6 goal differential. I think they're just a really good team. I think they're going to be near the top all year.
I picked them to go to the Stanley Cup final, so they're the addition of Jacob Markstrom. That was kind of like the one thing they were missing besides health last year.
Improvement, yeah.
They had just some of the, they had Colorado Avalanche level goaltending last year. And it was all, that and injuries were their demise. So if they stay healthy and with a healthy Jacob Markstrom, they're going to be a fun team to watch. They got a lot of speed, a lot of talent on that. And then you have like the kind of perfect combo with like the speedy playmaker in Jack Hughes, and then like the prototypical old school power forward Timo Meier. It's and they've got some.
I love that move for them.
They've got some really nice team, a real nice team there, and I mean I would find it hilarious just because I love stuff like that. That Sheldon Keefe would go to New Jersey and all of a sudden become a good coach. Get them to a Stanley Cup final in his first year. I know they played the Maple Leafs already, and the Maple Leafs won that game. But it's that's gonna be a fun team to watch. I like their makeup if they stay healthy.
That's key.
Yeah, I would say outside of Calgary, like every team that has started off, on the right foot, you'd expect them to. So I think it's kind of, I don't want to say chalk. Maybe Ottawa having 4 points in their first 3 games is a little bit of a surprise, but again, it's the first 3 games of the season. Like a lot of these things are going to shift by the time we do our next around the league.
Probably by Friday, actually.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, most teams that you'd expect to be off to good starts are doing that, except the teams at the bottom of the standings.
Yes.
Well,
let's start in the Central because Colorado is 0-3 with a -10 goal differential.
They are not good at hockey right now.
How
when your goaltending is not reliable, when you're hanging your hat on Alexander Georgiev, who was an all-star with an .899 save percentage just because the team was outscoring his problems.
He led the league in wins last year, mister.
With an .899 save percentage, it's coming around to him. Like the issue with needing a upper tier goaltender was not unknown to this team, and you start the year with Georgiev as your number 1 guy. It's hard. It's hard to outscore your problems on a consistent basis, and Colorado is one of those teams. Like, yeah, they have all the firepower, but also mentioned it. I don't know if it was last night or one of our recent shows, but the depth of that team is not necessarily as deep as you might need
Not
to
what
be.
it used to be.
It's not what it was.
You guys want to take a stab at Georgiev's goals against and save percentage?
Goals against
50-something save percentage.
Oh, no, it's like 600s at this point.
Is it that bad?
Yeah, it's
Goals
bad.
against is 6.58.
That's not good.
Save percentage is 787
Oy.
in 3 starts.
That's an airplane, not a save percentage.
So yeah, he started all 3 games. Yeah,
And they're gonna put him
great.
out there the next game too. Like Bednard's like, hey man, you're gonna play through this.
Ride or die.
They've got some injuries, so their depth is definitely like right now they are a 1-line, 1 defensive pair team. And if you've got that and the worst goalie in the league, it's not going to work out well for you.
Asked the Oilers for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you do have Jonathan Drouin is out. He'll be back in a few games. That will help. Arturi Lehkonen is out. I'm not sure his timeline, but to get him back, that would be big. Of course, Gabriel Landeskog. Sometime he's going to come back, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows what's going on with Valerie Nikushin. I can never say that.
Yeah, it's a hard one. Nichushkin?
Yeah.
Nichushkin?
No idea what his
status
not gonna work
is.
here anymore.
Yeah, so losing that guy and then not having Gabriel Landeskog, I mean, that's huge. They lost a lot when they didn't re-sign Nazem Kadri. Casey Middlestad's a nice player, but I mean, for what Colorado's trying to do, I think Nazem Kadri on that they haven't had that second line center since Kadri left, and what he brought to that team. They don't have that guy that is not only secondary scoring, but that gritty physical player. So, I mean, they get some of those guys back. You get Drouin back. You get Lehkonen back here in a few games. It looks different.
Sure, but the goaltenders got to be better.
But Georgiev had this problem last year, and then kind of got better as the season went on, and then the playoffs, he had like one really bad game, to start. But thankfully for them, Connor Hellebuyck had a 1-goal worse game.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely need an improvement there. I still don't like. I never understood that contract when they first got it because it was like. He was good, never great in New York. And being backup for Igor Shesterkin probably doesn't have a lot of pressure.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Because you're just like, hey, man, like we've got the best goalie in the world. I just got to go out there and hold my own. And he did that. So
he's not holding his own now. And his backup, Justus Annunen, in his 2 games, 4.69 goals against, a 765 save percentage.
Shutout against the Blackhawks, though.
That is a worse save percentage than Georgiev. That's something.
Well, I mean that then makes you understand why they went out and picked up Kaapo Kähkönen off of waivers. Like you need some other option.
He's not going to be that bad. He's not going to be as bad as those 2.
Right.
I'm pretty confident.
You'd hope.
Maybe they should have been the team out there trying to trade for Jacob Markstrom.
Maybe they were. Who knows? I mean,
maybe.
But Laurent Brossoit was right there for him.
That'd be a big upgrade
if they had the cap space, which they do not.
Even if they're in cap hell, like their issue too is like if Landeskog comes back, how are they going to make that work?
I don't know. That's
That's
currently $217,000 over the projected cap.
My problem.
It's nice to not be in that space.
I saw it from Puckpedia online today. I believe pretty sure it was Puckpedia. 13 teams currently are not able to bring up a league minimum player in the NHL because of cap space.
Yeah.
13 teams cannot add a player to their roster right now.
Once again proves that the hard salary cap is stupid.
Sure. Yeah.
It's dumb. I hate it.
Should be a luxury tax.
Yeah.
Coming to you July of 2025.
Yeah, those
salary cap method.
Those
someone's writing these down.
Those CBA discussions are going to be interesting to.
Some folks asking for an update on Laurent Brossoit, including our buddy Charlie the Bacon Guy. We'll probably know more now that the team's home.
Yeah,
we'll be able to talk to Luke after practices. I'm sure we'll get injury updates
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I think as early because he had a 5 to 7 week time frame, and I think that 5 weeks would be like now. But we also knew, where we learned, that he not only was coming back from an injury, but also his wife was expecting a baby. So
I think the original plan was for him to go on the road trip.
Yeah, but then they kept
then
him
he
back.
didn't because of the baby situation. Yeah. But Luke had said early in the trip that he was back home, but still skating every day.
Yeah. So I mean, he might be at practice tomorrow.
I would assume we'll see him at the morning skate, at least, out there beforehand. And then we can there was no practice today. So we don't know yet, but we'll get all those updates out to you straight from Luke Richardson tomorrow.
And same with Levchinov. A lot of people asking about that. Change the logo says, is Levchinov going to practice with the Hawks or go straight to Rockford when he's ready? I think when he's ready, he will go to Rockford. But he is in Chicago working with the Hawks trainers, rehabbing, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. He's been on the ice for a while, though. Like he's been
skating for a long time.
The end of training camp, he was on the ice.
I would imagine
all the training camp.
Yeah, I would imagine he's, unless there's been any kind of weird setback, I would imagine he's probably going to get ready to go to Rockford very soon, maybe by this weekend.
Yeah, I think they're just taking their sweet time and making sure it's 100% in good shape. There is absolutely no reason to rush him back.
We also need to talk about the Predators. Are they going to hang a banner for most disappointing start to a season?
They could. Yeah.
They probably should.
Might as well.
I'm not super worried about them, though.
They are 0-3. They have a -8 goal differential.
6 goals in 3 games played.
They have none of their big-time acquisitions have really contributed yet. Really, nobody.
6 goals in 3 games. Not many people.
I mean, but their big guns have 1 goal. Well, 2 goals. O'Reilly and Forsberg have goals. Marchessault hasn't scored yet. Stamkos hasn't scored yet.
Bum. Stamkos. What a bum.
Chicago.
I
mean,
told you.
Thomas.
I told you how bad he would be. Should never have tried to sign him.
Yeah, Mr. Bring Stamkos to Chicago all summer long. We have the tape. We can look it back. Thomas Novak is your leading scorer of the Nashville Predators, just like we all predicted.
Why not?
I'm not too worried about them. They've got a lot of new pieces, new moving parts, so they'll figure it out. They're with guys like Stamkos and Marchessault added to the mix with Ryan O'Reilly and Philip Forsberg.
They'll figure it out.
That team and Juicy Saros as your goalie, they'll be okay. They'll be all right. I'm not too worried about. I'm actually less worried about the Nashville Predators and the Colorado Avalanche right now.
I think I agree with you on that. By the way, their season so far, 4-3 loss at home to Dallas. They got shut out 3-0 in Detroit. And then last night, a 7-3 loss at home to Seattle.
Oof, that's
an alarm bell loss, though. I know it's the third game.
That's a bag skate, get your head out of your ass type moment.
UC Saros, 855 save percentage, 419 goals against.
No goals.
Well, 8
Lots of goals, apparently.
So 8 so far.
No goals.
I'm with you, though. I think
that's a cancel the U2 concert type game.
But you look at, Colorado has the highest end players in Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar. And, they've also, obviously, Mikko Rantanen, total stud, Devin Taves, who's also hurt, really good defenseman. But they're not the same team they were when they won that Stanley Cup. They're not quite as deep.
Yeah.
And, kind of got that reminder watching the Face-Off series on Amazon. I just watched the one about the captains, which has a Landeskog feature on it. And those guys talked about it, too. And Landeskog talked about it. It's not the same when the captain's not around. That is a big void for them. And I didn't know much about Gabriel Landeskog until I watched that. Like, that guy is, a Jonathan Taves, Mark Messier kind of a leader to that team and a very important piece to what they do. And him not, even though he's around, it's not quite the same. I don't know. And again, like we said earlier, even if he gets healthy, how are they going to bring him back? They're going to have to trade someone to bring him back.
Yeah. Because he's on LTIR, and we talked about it. We talked about it this offseason, like looking at their situation with Nikushkin and Landeskog, both of them coming back. Like, you have to move a lot of money, and sure, it's the NHL. Teams always seem to figure it out one way or another. But yeah, you're gonna have to do some finagling for whenever one or both of those guys want to get back to the lineup. So
They're currently over the cap, and he makes $7 million.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
And
That's-
Valenichushkin makes 6.125.
That's also a lot.
Well, I think they're trying to get out of that contract, but you can't do anything as long as he's in the assistance
Assistance
But
program.
program.
who's going to take that
No,
on, though?
I think they're trying to see if they can get it.
like a Robin Leonard situation?
Like a
They can
buyout,
get it.
something.
They
Well,
can
they-
get it.
I mean-
a breach of contract type of thing, and just get it gone.
Well, I mean, the Leonard thing, too, gives them precedence, too. They're like, hey,
He did it for Vegas.
you're helping these guys
Yeah.
out. Like, what's the difference here?
Right.
I think there might be some differences. But yeah, I think if there's a legal route you want to go, that's one way. But even
It's worth
still,
exploring.
if it's okay, $6 million is off the books, that's still not $7 million.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
makes it a lot easier.
Sure.
Then
Let's see. Who should the Blackhawks
but-
poach from the
But
let's see.
Nikushkin's $6 million is still counting, right? Because he's on IR, not LTIR.
He is on IR, correct? Yes.
Yeah.
So that's part of that calculation.
Okay.
All right. Let's think about this. Interesting thought exercise before we wrap up. They're not going to be able to.
Oh no, we're starting a new conversation at
No, it's the
55
same.
minutes.
It's the same conversation.
You said there'd be no extra.
They're not going to be able to bring Mikko Rantanen back. That's a given, right? He makes 9.25. He's not going to take a pay cut. How
You
is
don't think-
Colorado going to afford Mikko Rantanen next year?
trade Cale Makar to the Blackhawks.
Well, that's
Problem
fine. But maybe
Gabe
when
Landeskog
if they suck until the middle of November and there's no signs of life from them and Landeskog is ready to come back and he's got 4 years left on a deal, including this one, do they start taking trade calls for Mikko Rantanen?
That's a hard sell.
I mean,
yeah, I don't
you
know.
can't bring him back. And just what if I'm them, I say we are open for business on Mikko Rantanen. Let's go. And if they want to drag it out to the deadline, they can. And just tell Landeskog, hold tight until we trade him. But man, this is for me, if that happens, this is the time for Kyle Davidson to strike and say, this is my guy. This is the big move I'm going to make. He is 27 years old. He is exactly what this team needs. He is a perfect complement to Connor Bedard. And if you don't want to have him on the same line, it gives you way more depth. It makes all the sense in the world.
I don't think it gets to that point because I really think the goal is to re-sign him.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that their first thought is trade. I feel like that would be last resort
I mean,
because you don't want to just let him walk.
you probably have to start butchering your roster here. Do you try and move a Casey Middlestat who you just signed?
You sell high on Devin Taves,
I mean, that's the guy. That's the guy at 7.7 mil.
7.25.
That's the guy that probably you'd get a lot of phone calls for. I mean,
Samuel Girard makes 5.
Duran is going to come off the books. There's 2.5 coming off the books next season.
But if you move Taves and Girard,
well, then your defense
it's 12 million. There's your money for
Yeah.
Rantanen.
But then you have
But your
nobody
defense is
playing
awful.
defense. Now you have Josh Manson and Makar, nobody else. I don't know what they've got prospect wise. So
They got Sean Barons, Barrington guy. But other than that, like that is their big defensive prospect from what I can see here. Yeah, I don't think they have. I don't think that they have the prospect system that's going to be like reloading this group. This is Colorado's window starting to shut because these problems are going to make they're not going to go away. And yeah, if you're moving out two of your guys that are two of your top 4 defensemen to sign, you're a very important forward, not going to downplay that at all. But if you have no way of replacing them other than like guys on like league minimum deals, it's going to be Cale Makar and his band of merry men defensively, and that's not going to be a recipe for success.
Well, that is a huge story to watch as the season rolls on. So keep an eye on the Avalanche and keep rooting for them to fail. So maybe, just maybe, Mikko Rantanen shakes loose and comes to Chicago. All right, we're going to wrap things up. We're going to be back after tomorrow night's home opener. We're going to be at the red carpet. We're going to be at the morning skate. We've got tomorrow's home opener covered from top to bottom. We've got some reserves. Emma, our social media coordinator, is coming out. So make sure you are following us on CHGO_Blackhawks on Twitter and following all the CHGO_sports account on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all those places to see all of the Hawks stuff you want to see ahead of tomorrow's home opener against Will Smith and the San Jose Sharks. Not quite as exciting as Macklin Celebrini.
Getting jiggy with it.
But we'll take it. We'll take it. So we'll talk to you after tomorrow night's game right here on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.